Hi, this is Mrs. Robertson. Today we will be doing lesson 7, but before we go to lesson 7, let's grade our bell work. The bell work is located on page 402. And then we will also grade the part of yesterday's homework that we didn't have time to grade before class was over. On page 302, it says, identify the ordered pair that names each point. Then identify the quadrant in which it is located. So point A, we go left, which is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's negative 5, and then you go up 1, 2, 3, positive 3. Negative 5, positive 3. And which quadrant is that in? Quadrant 2. That's right. I don't have one right now. I'll get one for you later, okay? See if you see one on the floor or on the file cabinet. This might right, I don't know. All right, letter B. To get to B, first you start at the origin. The origin is 0, 0. You go left 1, 2, 3, so that's negative 3. And then you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it is also in quadrant 2, Roman numeral 2. C, there is C. Start at the origin. I'm going to go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5, and then we're going to go down to, class, what quadrant is that in? That's right. For D, we go right, so it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down, 1, 2, 3. Down is negative. And class, which quadrant is that? 4. And the Roman numeral for 4 is IV. And E, you go right 2, which is positive, and down, which is negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is also in quadrant 4. Any questions on that? All pretty good? Thumbs up? Fabulous. Yes?
For D, the letter D, I was a little confused how you got 4.
How I got 5?
4.
Oh, quadrant 4 for D? Okay, D and E are in the same one. This one is quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2. This is quadrant 3. I'm glad you brought that up. And this one is quadrant 4. All right? And remember how I made a C to help you remember which way to go? 1, 2, 3, and you end in the 4. Okay? So if it's in this one here, that's quadrant 4. Good question. All right, write the ordered pair that represents the reflection of point J across the y-axis. So here is y. And I'm going to fold it on Y. Which point am I looking at? J. So if I fold it on Y, it's going to end up on positive 4, 2. Positive 4, positive 2. All right? And that's the reflection of J. Any questions? Okay, now let's do our spiral review. The hardest part, I think, is figuring out what to put the numbers by. These are by tenths, so I'm going to go from 5 to, I'm going to go by tenths, I think. This one's 5.0, 5.1, 5.2. You might have done something different. 5.4, 5. I can stop there. So 5 is here. 3/10 is there, and 1/10 is there. Maybe you went by fractions instead of decimal points. It's fine, it didn't tell you. Represent the set of numbers as decimals. Oh, it does say decimals, so it does matter. You have to write them as a decimal, okay? So my smallest is 2, and my biggest is 3, and we're going to have decimals. So I'm going to say this is 2 6/10, 2.6. 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 3.0, 3.1, and the last one is 3 2/10. All right, 2 7/10 is here, 9/10 is there, and 1/10 is there. All right? Draw a line of symmetry on the figure shown. Well, symmetry means you fold it and it matches on both sides. I could draw one there. I could draw one here. It has a lot of them, doesn't it? I could draw one here. You only had to draw one. There are a lot of lines of symmetry. You only had to draw one. And then 37. The table shows how many magazines 3 co-workers sold in 1 month. How many magazines did they sell in total? Total usually means we're going to add. So this is pretty easy. 12 plus 0, I'm not going to even write down, plus 7 equals 19 magazines. Any questions on that? Okay, now let's go to page 400 and grade our homework from yesterday. Page 400. You just had to do number 14 on this page. The opposite of -3 is 3. Point -3,2 reflected across the y-axis. So this would be the y-axis. I'm just going to draw a picture of it. So here's the x. -3, +2 might be right here. Okay? So if I reflected it, I'll do the opposite of -3. So it's going to be +3, +2. And that would be right. It would end up in this spot, wouldn't it? That would be the reflection, and that's in the positive zone. So it'd be +3. Point -3,2 reflected across the x-axis. So this time you're going to reflect it over the x. So here it's going to be -3, but instead of +2, it'll be a -2. All right? So it's -3, -2. Is it in quadrant 3? Yes, it is. The new point would be in the very negative quadrant. Questions? Let's go to the next page. Okay, I'm just going to quickly write the answers down, and if you have questions, let me know. So for number 20, the answer is 3, -5, and it is in quadrant 4. Number 21, it's -2, 1. Make sure you put your little parentheses around them to make it right, and it's quadrant 2. P is -5, 4, and that's in quadrant 2. J is -4, -5, quadrant 3. M is 5, 4. That is located in quadrant 1. Any questions? Everyone good? All right. Quickly do the next round. Number 25, it's L, point L, and it's in quadrant 2. Number 26 is point X, and that is in quadrant 1. And this one, it's point S, and that is quadrant 4. Number 28, here it's point V, and it's on the x-axis, or none. They put none in the book, but it's the x-axis. This one, I know it's quadrant 3. It's negative, and it's point B. And this one is point C, and it's quadrant 2. Any questions? All right, number 31. What ordered pair describes the location of the swing set? Well, it's over 4, up 2. Let's see, Luke is making a model of a park. He has the basketball court drawn on his model. The swing set is located at the reflection of point B. So the reflection of point B is 4, 2. All right, got a little X there. The slide is located at the reflection point of C across the x-axis. So that's going to be 4, positive 4. And the water fountain is located at the reflection of D across the y-axis. So this is going to be the opposite of 1, so -1, -4. Any questions? Great. Now we are ready to go to our next lesson. And it's lesson 7. So open your books up to lesson 7, page 403. Graph on the coordinate plane. And our quiz, kids, will be tomorrow. It's going to have graphing, absolute value, those types of things. It's not a test, it's just a quiz tomorrow. All right. Page 403. And we have another video that we're going to watch that goes along with our book on this one. So you go to page 403. The video link that you're going to watch in just a moment matches this map. So I'm going to put this on pause, and we're going to go to our video. Well, we just discovered that there is not a video clip that matches this picture because it matches yesterday's picture when you click on the little watch video button. So let's just read it ourselves. Scavenger hunt. I do like scavenger hunts. Maria hid the clues to a scavenger hunt for her hiking club. Use the map to show where she hid the clues. Identify the location of each clue. Okay, the first clue is hidden near a tree. What ordered pair describes its location? Okay, kids, where's the tree located? Positive 4, positive 2. That's right. And that's quadrant 1, isn't it? Okay. Maria hid the next clue at a location that is reflected across the y-axis from the tree. What would be across the y-axis from the tree, class? Library. Oh, you're good at this treasure hunt. Number 3, she then walks 3 blocks east and 2 blocks north. So she's at the library. She walks 3 blocks east. Now, notice they're going by 2s. That's the tricky thing. So that's 2, and then half of it is 3, and 2 blocks north will take you right there, and that dot is the soccer field. That's probably, you always have to look at how far apart the numbers are on your graph before you start doing things. We sometimes get in a hurry and don't always look at that. The next clue is at a location that is reflected across the x-axis from clue 3. Across the x-axis from clue 3. So here is the x, and what is that dot for? Playground. And number 5, Maria then hid the next clue under a rock by the lake. How many blocks east did she walk to the lake? Well, remember you're going by 2s, so there's 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5, halfway between plus 1 is 6. 6 blocks. And the hardest part about this was counting, being careful how you were counting, what you were counting by. The final clue tells the hikers to walk 5 blocks north and 3 blocks east to find the prize. What ordered pair describes the location of the prize? Okay, so here we go up 5 blocks north. So 2, 4, 5, and then 3 blocks east. 1. Okay, it is 8, 1. That X marks the spot for the treasure. So it's 8, 1. Any questions? Okay, let's go to page 404. On page 404, graph ordered pairs. I think you kids really are pretty good at that. We did some of that yesterday and again today. To graph an ordered pair, draw a dot at the point that corresponds with the coordinates. We will do that. Graph point M at negative 3, 5. All right, start at the origin. Origin is 0, 0. What's the origin? 0, 0. The x-coordinate is negative 3, so you go left to negative 3. The y-coordinate is positive 5. Positive means you go up, and that is your point M. Circle point M. Now let's look at number 2. Here we have fractions. Negative 2.5 and negative 3.5. Well, you kids know you're going to end up in quadrant 3, right? Because it's very negative. Start here. Negative 2.5 is in between negative 2 and negative 3. And then negative 3.5, from here you go down to negative 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3.5, and that's where point N is. Any questions? All right, kids, go ahead and graph A, B, C, and D. All right, kids, your points should look like this. P, negative 2, positive 4. Q, 0. Don't go right or left, but down to negative 4. R, negative 0.5, negative 2.5, and S, 4.5, 1. P is in quadrant 2. Let's just put our Roman numerals down. Q is on the y-axis. R is in quadrant 3. I know it didn't tell you to do this, but it's just always good. And D, point S, is in quadrant 1. Any questions on this? All pretty good? Wonderful. Let's go on to the next page. 405. Graph reflections on the coordinate plane. A reflection. Oh, what does this say about symbols? Use the notation A prime to label the reflection of a point. Oh, that's important. Do you see how I just read that? So this is point A. If I want to do a reflection of point A, I would go A with a little line. That's called a prime, A prime. See that? That means it'll be the reflection of it, okay? Let's read the words. You can graph points that are reflected across the x and y axis. Remember that points reflected across the x-axis will have the same x-coordinates and their y-coordinates will be the opposites. Points reflected across the y-axis will have the same y-coordinates and their x-coordinates will be the opposites. Now let's graph these points. Graph A at 2, negative 4. 2, negative 4 is A. Put a dot there. Now, to reflect across the x-axis, it's going to be positive 2, but the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. Put a dot there, and see that little prime line? Trace over A prime. So when you do a reflection, it's an A prime, okay? Now let's look at number 4. Negative 1.5, 3. Go over 1.5, up 3. That's your B. Put a little dot there. Now we're going to reflect it across the y-axis. Okay, we're going to do the opposite of the x. So instead of negative 1.5, it's positive 1.5, 3. And put the B prime. See how they have B prime? That means it's the reflection. Okay? Now let's do E and F. It says graph point C. Are your answers done for you in the book? Okay, let's just trace over it. C is right here, and C prime is there. And yes, they're the opposites of each other, aren't they? They're reflections. Here we have D and D prime. Put a dot there, and D prime. And this time D reflected across the y-axis. And C reflected across the x-axis. Okay? Everyone good? Let's go on to page 406. Here we have, it's a trapezoid that they've graphed here. Mr. Martin is using a coordinate plane to design a logo. He graphs points at 2, 4, right there. 2, negative 2, right here. Well, no, 2, negative 2 is right here. It says he reflects 2, negative 2 across the y-axis. So that's the reflection here. Then he reflects the new point across the x-axis. So this reflects there. So that's how he got that point. What figure is Mr. Martin using for his logo? It's a trapezoid. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing in letter G. Miss Shaw is drawing a map of the school. Her room is at negative 3, 4. Okay, kids, let's go to negative 3, positive 4, put a dot. Okay, this is her room. So I'm going to put an S for Miss Shaw. And the gym is at 3, 4. Over 3, up 4. I'm going to put a dot and put a G for gym. The library is a reflection of 3, 4 across the x-axis. Okay, so I'm going to reflect the gym over the x. So it's going to be 3, negative 4. And that's what, the library? The library, yeah, that's the library. This point is reflected across the y-axis. I'm going to do that one in yellow. To graph where the office is. So this is 3, negative 4. So it's going to be the opposite of 3, negative 4. And this is the office. Any questions on how we did this? And then it says, what figure is graphed on the map? Is that a square or a rectangle? Are they the same? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a rectangle. It's not a square. It's a rectangle. Any questions? Okay, let's do the guided practice. I'm going to put it on pause and then we'll check to see how you do on this problem. All right, so for this problem, let's make sure we have it done correctly. Graph points E, negative 1, negative 4, put a dot, and that's E. That's in quadrant 3. F is negative 3.5 up to 4. Then reflect point E across the y-axis. So E is going to reflect across the y. That means it's going to be positive 1, negative 4. And I'm going to do E prime. Put that little thing in there so you know it's a reflection. See the E prime? That's how you say it. So do that. And point F across the x-axis. So F is going to go across the x-axis. I don't know what kind of shape I've got here. This is going to be sort of weird looking. F across the x. So it's still going to be negative 3.5, but negative 4. Well, I think it's going to be a triangle. This is F prime. I better check the answer book to make sure. Yep, it makes a triangle. So connect the dots. Those are, it's like they're all in a straight line. That's what they wanted. And her rock garden is in the shape of a triangle. Any questions, kids? Okay, now let's see what we're going to do for homework today. Our independent practice, we're going to do all the problems on page 407. It won't take you very long to do these, will it? Let's go to the next page. On page 408, I want you, oh, there's a house. We got to do 15 and 16. And then on page 409, just do all of those two. All. So, page 407 all, page 409 all, and when you're on page 408, it's 15 and 16. Any questions? All right, have a good day.